Hey there, Skeleton Key here. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Whether you're watching live, I actually don't expect very many people, if anybody, to show up. This is pretty impromptu. Until about an hour ago, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to do this. Yeah, I've been working on a few projects and they just kind of, whew, and so I've only actually finished 2 books last week, and so I don't have a whole lot to talk about, without, looking ahead. And, yeah, so if you do happen to show up in time to catch some of this, sure, just, pop into the chat and say hi, and, I'm happy to chat for a little bit. I'm not that crunched for time right now, uh, but yeah, otherwise, if you're catching this on the replay, feel free to say something in the comments and let me know. I've only got 2 books to talk about tonight, and so this is gonna be pretty quick, but if you have thoughts on those or just wanna tell me what you're reading, or what readathons you're doing, if you're doing middle grade March, that's the only readathon I'm actually gonna talk about tonight. And I've got some information down in the description below. Feel free to go ahead and talk about that. And let's see. Okay. What shall I do first? All right, let's go ahead and talk about middle grade March first, and the group read for that. And I've got that up. I'll share that. Okay. Yeah, the Mona Lisa vanishes. A legendary painter, a shocking heist, and the birth of a global celebrity. This is a book by Nicholas Day, and I do not have the hard copy, the physical copy, so I have not seen the illustrations by Brett Hellquist. I listened to this on audiobook, and I really enjoyed this. It bounces all over the place. Yes, it's about the heist, the theft of the Mona Lisa from the Louvre in Paris. And but it's about so much more. And a lot of this stuff is stuff I've studied in some depth, and I still learned a whole lot about this. So yeah, this is a middle grade book, but as an adult, I was just kind of blown away with how far reaching this went. I mean, it goes back to Da Vinci's upbringing, and his interest in the arts and technology, and he was the original Renaissance man in Renaissance Italy, in Florence, and also some of his time in Rome. I've been to Florence. I've seen been to a lot of the places that are talked about in this book, and so that was really cool. But still, there was so much I didn't know. And also Amboise, that's in the Loire Valley, and I did a semester there a long time ago. But I remember there was a Da Vinci exhibit in Amboise when I was in Tours, and I never did get to go see it. Some of my classmates did get to go see that, but I didn't get to go see that. And I was like, man. But it talks about the history of Paris through the centuries. And then it talks about all of the history of criminology, the development of criminology, and what it was like in early 20th century Paris, and some of its successes and failures. And I studied a lot of that in grad school. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff I did already know, but it was kind of cool to see that presented here. And all the whole Bertillon thing and Vidocq and all the fingerprint stuff. That was interesting to see how that played into this whole investigation. And but there's also a lot of talk about why the investigations failed. Because the investigations are not how they got the Mona Lisa back. Um, the investigations failed because they considered it an impossible crime, and so only a criminal mastermind could have done this. And so they were looking for a criminal mastermind, and then they got into this, well, who why would they steal something so recognizable? And so then they would go into the whole theory that, oh, there was one of the new money, the industrialists from the Gilded Age, JP Morgan and people like that. They want some class to class up their they need something classy and old school to class up their new money. And so you know there are all these theories that, oh, JP Morgan commissioned somebody to steal it, and the truth was actually pretty dang boring, and that's why they failed, because it wasn't some gentleman thief or something like that. Um, and so I think what I really loved about this book was how, and especially for a middle grade audience, how it kept going back to concepts of critical thinking. And, so why do we come up with these elaborate explanations when it's something simpler? And it's basically a human failing, a human pitfall that we love a good story. And so so then it goes into some of the conspiracy theories that about this heist that survive to this day. And it's just a really fascinating book, and I highly recommend it, whether you're a middle grade reader or not. Um, and I'm sure there are other books on the subject, some intended for an adult audience. And so, yeah, I think I might actually try to seek some of those out and see if they're as good as this one. Um, and I think I will probably try to find a hard copy of this, um, so that I can look at the illustrations. Oh, and also a shout out to the narrator. Let's see, who was the narrator? I thought she did a great job. This isn't going to tell me, is it? Oh, but this one, Bad Gateway. Well, they don't want to tell me who the narrator is. More editions. Carlotta Brenton. Yeah, I thought she did great. She seemed to have some really good knowledge of languages, because the pronunciation seemed right on, as far as I could tell. I mean, but I've studied French and Italian both, and there's a lot of French and Italian in this book, and as far as I could tell, she was doing really well. So yeah, that's the group read for middle grade March, and they're doing, I think it's on Wednesday night. So yeah, tomorrow we've got a winter storm warning. So hopefully I can just hole up in my office and watch and tune in to the live show tomorrow night that they're doing. I'm not sure. I think it's just a chat, but a live chat kind of thing. And then I think it's the last Wednesday of the month, they're doing sort of a group, a panel review of the book. So Yeah, looking forward to that. But I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday nights they're doing that. But yeah, go check out their channel. They used to have, just all the co-hosts had stuff on their own channels, but now they've got their own middle grade March channel. So yeah, that is pretty much that. And then the other book that I finished last week was The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. This is not a middle grade book. Did not read this for a specific readathon. You could probably consider it to count for March Mystery Madness, but it's more of a thriller. There's not really any mystery to it. But this is based on a true story. Now, it is historical fiction. There is a lot of fictionalized stuff. I really appreciated Kate Quinn's author's note, in which she specified, she went through and said, okay, this, I took straight from her autobiography. And she was Mila Pavlichenko. And she was a Russian sniper in World War II, racked up 309 kills. And she was like a library. She was studying to be a librarian and, working in a library. And then Hitler invaded her country and she knew how to shoot. And she was kind of different from a lot of other women who went into the military, to as shooters of whatever, as actual soldiers. And she was a little different, and she wasn't a rural woman who had grown up using guns to for shooting wildlife or shooting game, or for farm work basically. And she also wasn't really she didn't come from a military background. So yeah, she was very unlikely candidate to be a crack shot and a wartime sniper, but she kicked ass at this. And when Hitler invaded her country, she was like, yes, I am here, give me a rifle. And the story, it goes into a lot of a lot of the discrimination that she faced, even though they liked to talk about how, unlike in the US, how the Soviet women were actually considered equals. And yeah, that was kind of bullshit, but kind of not at the same time. But back to the author's note, she Kate Quinn does explain, yes, I took from her autobiography. This is stuff that I confirmed with other sources. These are things that I kind of adjusted or played with, poetic license kind of thing, or conjecture. It's like, we never had a name. She never named this person. So, but I felt like they were an important character in her life. So I thought I should bring that out and, create that. Or sometimes like taking two people and just for the sake of convenience and story, merging them into one character. And also stuff just, complete fabrication of plot, which there is quite a bit of that too. So it is definitely fiction, historical fiction. But I was really surprised at how much of it was real, and very much true story. And her friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt, because a lot of the action takes place in the United States, in Washington, D.C. and New York, and well, yeah, all around. But yeah, she spends a lot of time with Eleanor Roosevelt, and they become besties, and that's real. They they had a really good relationship, and um, some of the details, I'm sure, conversations and things were fictionalized a great deal, but yeah, so I learned a lot. This isn't. I had an arc. So when I saw on Hoopla they had the audiobook available through my library, so I listened to the audiobook, and I kind of went through this. Sometimes it's easier for me to actually read along to an audiobook. Um, but yeah, I did that, and of course, this being an arc, it did not have like the picture section, so you can actually. But the audiobook had a link to. They provided a link to the publisher's website where they actually had a PDF of the photographs that were included in the hard copy. And so you can see what she looked like and everything. And I think this would make a great movie. Of course, she'll probably get a lot of flack for, oh, you just made that subplot up. And yeah, well, fine, whatever. But it's a historical fiction thriller, but it's very much based in fact, and I thought this was really well done. And I like Kate Quinn's writing style, and it's been nice to see it develop. This is the third Kate Quinn novel that I have read, and I still haven't read The Rose Code, and I have a copy, so I need to go back and read The Rose Code. And I think she's got a new one coming out soon. But it's been interesting to see her writing style kind of develop over the years. And yeah, so those are the two books I have and to talk about tonight. I am working on some I've already started working on April TBRs. Yeah, because those are going to be kind of wild. And let's see. And I do want to. Well, I have a lot of reading on deck for this week, including some of the projects that I'm working on, proofreading and stuff. But yeah, there'll be next week. Next week, I'm going to have to allot quite a bit of time for my update, my book report for week 11, because hopefully I'll actually succeed at a lot of what I want to get done this week. And I have finished one book already this week, but yeah, we'll talk about that next week. But I'm thinking I might actually maybe this weekend get in another live that is just TBRs and talk about some of that stuff coming up. But yeah, I don't think. Nope, I don't have any comments. But yeah, hi, and I guess bye. But yeah, I knew this was going to be quick, so I think this is probably the quickest book report I've done. But that's all I have time for, and I will see you next week or maybe sooner. But yeah, if you enjoyed this short little book report, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to subscribe, then you can, you'll get notifications, especially if you click the bell. You'll get notifications as to when I will be doing another live if I do one before Monday. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to do that. And I will talk at you later.